any record I do is going to sound like Poco because I've been doing it for 50 years, you know, and it's just a part of me. So I can't get too far away from it. There's no way I can do it, but I can push the limits on it, you know, and that's what I tried to do, is push the limit. But there are songs like Down Home that are so Poco. It could have been on the first Poco record, and there's songs like Gonna Let the Rain Wash It All Away that wouldn't have been on a Poco record. It's way too Rolling Stones. It's too reaching out there, what it's talking about, if you really understand what I'm talking about with Gonna Let the Rain Wash It All Away. And the recording, you know, I've got these great soul singing girls, you know, singing with me, and we wouldn't have done that. So it's pushing the limits, and a song that's so personal, like Sarah's song, which is a song I wrote for my daughter when she got married. Oop, I dropped it. You know, there's songs on there that wouldn't fit on a Poco record because they're too personal.
Yeah. Well, you recorded the record at Cash Cabin, right?
Yes.
Were you able to tap into that Johnny Cash and, you know, June Carter Cash mojo?
Well, sure, yeah, it was all around you. First, it's a little cabin that they used to go off to from the big mansion to get away from the crowds and the people and have time alone. And after June died, Johnny turned it into a studio. He added on to it and made it into a studio because he didn't want to go into town and record in studios and that kind of. It was a more personal place for him. And it's got June's piano that she'd had her whole life in there. And you know, there's a picture on the wall that Marty Stewart took, a huge picture of Johnny in the later, you know, days, hanging on the wall. And on another wall, there's Bob Dylan's original lyrics to Nashville Skyline, framed, you know. And then in one corner, there's a train that was given what's his name? That was in the Highwaymen with him. Wrote
Waylon Jennings?
No, keep going. One more. Christopherson. He gets the banana. Chris Christopherson gave to John Carter Jr. Yeah, and so there's all this kind, and Johnny's guitar collection too is in there, and he has some amazing guitars that they let you play, mandolins and guitars, and June's piano is all over this record. We used it a lot, so it's really, yeah, there's a great vibe of that there.
Well, there's a friendship vibe to the whole record, and about what you do, there's always that kind of camaraderie there, and you can tell with this record that continues as a thread line through everything. And the song My Friend, which I think you're also going to honor us by playing today.
Sure, I can do that.
Is one which you wrote about some of the members of Poco, who also coincidentally sing on it too, correct?
It wasn't a coincidence. I called him up and said, you better do this, or I've got the pictures. I have the stuff, you know. They have to do what I... No, and you know, the funny thing about that song, and the way songs work too sometimes, I mean, I wrote that song really quickly. It was like Crazy Love was a song that took a day to write. And that song, I didn't write that song, I wrote it down. I think it was already out there somewhere, and I was the one who got the chance to write it down. And you know, it talks about, here we are after all these years, still the same as we were back when, oh so long ago, my friend. And we started doing it in concert, and I thought it was talking about the guys that had been in the band, because you know, back in 1968 when we started, we were just starving musicians. You know, Randy Meisner and George Grantham and our drummer and me, you know, we came from Colorado and Nebraska, and we were living out in the valley, and all of us in one apartment, and we shared one car, and if it hadn't been for the ham sandwiches that we stole out of the Troubadour, we'd have probably starved, you know. And we were just trying to create, we had this idea for this new kind of music that was rock and roll, but it used country instruments as color, as the palette. And that was our goal, to, you know, whatever we had to do to make that happen. And we were also, and now you look at these guys, you know, and Randy Meisner and Tim Schmidt, they did pretty well. They were in a fairly successful band. And Jimmy Messina with Long as a Messina, and Richie, you know, of course, all his Buffalo Springfield and his solo stuff. And then when Crazy Love hit with Poco, which is my thing, I've done very well too. So there, you'd think of us back then when we were just had an idea, and to all 50 years later, look what we never would have dreamed. We'd even be playing music 50 years later. You know, we got the gift of being able to do what we love for 50 years. So that's what I thought it was all about. Started playing it in concert, and I'd look out at the people out there who, a lot of them have been around us, you know, supporting us, and part of our family for 50 years or 20 years or 30 years. And all of a sudden that song, My Friend, really turned into My Friends, because it talks about all of us and what we've gone through these last 50 years. And whether you're a Poco fan or an Eagle fan or whatever, you know, we've all experienced it, and it all wraps up in that song. So the song started talking to me instead of me talking to this song. And I realized that it's bigger than just being about us five guys.
RockCellarTV, 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 RockCellarTV.